Hi folks, this is Vicki at patternprincess.com. Today I want to show you how to do the stitches for this really pretty, super bulky, it's a chunky ear warmer. This is large, an extra large size. You can see the nice ridges. This is where it's joined in front, and of course this is the back. This one here is made using the Lion brand, Hometown USA. And it's a Sioux City chunky, or Sioux City tweed. And this has 64 yards, and it's a number 6. And I am going to be using a size N as a Nancy crochet hook. There we go. Which is also a number 9. And so I'm going to do this in 2 colors. I've done this one here in the blue, kind of a blue hue, and then I'm just going to use a white yarn, the same yarn, the same Hometown USA from Lion brand, and it's just called New York White. So I'm just going to show you how to do the beginning stitches, because once you get past row 1, really row 2, it's just a repeat. And let me get my beginning of my yarn here. So to make this really beginner friendly, I'm just going to show exactly how I put my loops on the hook. This is how I get my slip knot on. But it's extremely easy. And then once I get the white one done here, I'll show you how to join it to make that twisted look in the front. Okay, so here's my short side. And I do leave the yarn loose or on here, this tail, until I'm done joining it, and then I'll weave it in at the very end, because this is where I've joined it. I fold it in half and I join them all together, and then I have a nice spot here to weave in my yarn ends. Okay, so that's how we do that. All right, so let's get going here. You can chain any number. I will have suggested number of chains for the different sizes on the free website blog post on the website. Make sure you go check that out if you want all the details. So first of all, I'm just going to chain, I don't know, 10 maybe. Okay, 3. My yarn's already catching every time I get on camera. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now for row 1, we're going to skip this first one, and in the second chain, we're just going to do a single crochet. So we yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull it through, yarn over, and pull it through 2 loops. That is a single crochet. So I'm going to continue to do a single crochet all the way across. It's a very, very simple, if this is your first time making something, very simple pattern to work. Okay, I'm just doing single crochets all the way across. And if you start with 10, you should end up with 9 stitches in the row. So if you're a beginner and unsure if you got all the stitches in a row, go ahead and count them after each row, and then you'll have nice straight edges. So here's how row 1 looks. Nothing special, just single crochets all the way across. I'll put my hook back in, get just a smidge bit more yarn here so I don't run out. Okay, here we go. So we're going to turn it, and then this is the row you repeat all the way through. So then this will be row 2. So you're going to chain 1. That does not count as anything. That's just a turning chain. Then in that very first stitch, a lot of times we'll work into 2 loops. We'll work underneath both loops. But for this pattern, we're going to work in the back loop. So you're going to insert your hook here in the back loop. You'll yarn over, bring it through, and then yarn over, bring it through 2 loops. So you're going to do a single crochet through the back loop. Okay, so I like to turn it towards me a little bit. If I were just going to do a regular single crochet, I would put it through both loops like this, yarn over, bring it through. But because I'm going to work on the back loop, I turn it just a little bit, put in my hook in the center of those, push it through the back loop, yarn over, bring it through, and then yarn over, go through 2 loops. And this is your pattern that you're going to work all the way across. So no matter what size ear warmer you make, just go ahead and keep working this pattern. Okay. And again, I'll have the suggested sizes to start with, the number of chains, but you'll want to make sure that after you do your 2 rows in, after your second row here, go ahead and measure your length, because your length can change a little bit from the initial chain stitches that you did. It'll oftentimes shorten up by one or two chains, or 1 or 2 inches. Okay, so that is all you do all the way through this pattern. You would turn it and then continue on with the same pattern. And then what I'm going to do is I'll come back to this then as soon as I finish this, and then I'll show you how to join it, and join it right here in the front. This one here is about 5 inches wide this way, so it's a nice size. But the smaller around we go, the less width that we have. But you could make it a smaller around and have it whatever width that you would like when you make yours. And again, I'll have the measurements and the suggested rows and the suggested sizes all the way through. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to come back and show you how to join it. Okay, I have finished my other ear warmer. This is all done. It's a little bit wide, so I can't show you all in one shot how it looks, but I'm going to fold it here now. I have 2 ends here that I have not weaved in. This is my starting end. It's a little bit shorter, but then I have a longer end, quite long, that I'm going to use to sew it together. So what we're going to do, and you make sure when you fold it in the middle, just fold it over, fold your ends. And now fold it in half this way, and then fold this one in half the same way. Then tuck your end, tuck one end inside of the other. Then I'm going to work with this a second and make sure that my yarn ends are out, because I'm going to be weaving those in. But then I kind of adjust it here. Let me show, it's pretty good, really. So I'm going to make sure this is tucked in nice and tight. This is tucked in nice and tight, and they're all kind of even, right? And they're all the same height. Make sure that they're all tucked in and they're all the same height. I don't know if you can see that. So I have one that's folded here and one side that's folded here. And this side, remember we just folded it in half. Can you see that? All right, so now I'm going to try to magically hold this. I should have probably threaded my needle first. I'm going to stick my hand on here. I should have thought this through better, but that's okay. So now if you're newer to crocheting and sewing in your yarn ends, you might be wondering, how are you going to sew in this super bulky yarn with this size yarn needle? You see how small the eye is of that yarn needle? So we're going to twist this yarn, and you kind of squeeze the tip together so it's real nice and small. And then we just work it through here, trying to get all your tips through. Sometimes it takes a couple tries. Ooh, I'm going to get it. First try, I think. Here we go. I've got it. All right. So now I can make sure that I didn't mess this up. Oh, I did a little bit by sticking my arm over it, but we're okay. So my yarn end, I'm going to flip it here. Make sure I have the right one. Okay, the yarn end that I'm working with is this one here. This was my beginning yarn end, and I'll weave that in as soon as I'm done weaving the rest of it in. But what I'm going to do is just bring my needle through my work, and as you're doing this, make sure that you're going through all of the layers and catching each one of them as you're working through this. So I'm going to catch this one, make sure I catch that one, the next one, the next one, then go back up and through. Okay, and I'm going to weave back the other way. And I'm going to keep doing this all the way to the other side. And then I'm going to weave back. I like to have a double weave. I should say weave. I sew one way first and then I sew back, just as extra security. I have never had one come apart. I don't really know that it would, even with one. Sewing back and forth, especially with this thicker yarn. It might with, that little end of that one, see that? It was kind of sticking. It might, if you're using a thinner yarn, then for sure you'd want to weave back and forth. Making sure I have all my ends again. And then this will be the last one on this side. Then I'm going to go one more through here, and then I'm going to start weaving back the other way. And then I'll weave my yarn back and forth in this part here to make sure that all of my yarn ends are secured. And then I will weave the other side into here too. So this is all I'm going to do here. And I'll show you how I'm going to weave my yarn ends here in a second. Especially if you are newer to this, it's sometimes nice to see the entire process. And if you're an old hat at this, then you can skip forward and watch me turn it inside out and see the magic. Okay, yeah, we're almost there, and I'm making sure I go through all of the layers, just double checking. Just the top row of stitches. One time I had missed part of a section of one of them, and it was, once you get it sewn together, it's really hard to get that tucked in there, but I was able to save it and fix it, which was nice. And then I'll put one here. This is my last one. And then now I'm just going to weave it. It's already tight through as I'm working through the stitches. So I'm just going to weave it a couple times here. You can see I really have to pull my yarn. And I'll put one this way. You just as you're weaving in your yarn into your work, you just kind of weave it back and forth until you know it's really snug. So I'd say this one is done. I'm going to weave this one in, and then I'm going to cut my ends pretty close. And then I'm going to turn it inside out here. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm ready for the magic. So I have this folded in half. I've sewn my ends together. Then we get to flip it out, inside out, and look at the magic. And this one is done. Isn't this pretty? So this is done in white, and this was done as blue. I can't remember the name of it. What did I say it was? Sioux City Tweed. And this white one's just a little bit smaller. So I have some different sizes. But there we go. It's all set. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget, I will have this free pattern on the website, patternprincess.com. Take care. Thanks for watching.